There might be some of you who don't know what PHP is, or you might have some sort of idea about it. But because we're going to make a site with this language, PHP, you should know at least the basic constructs of this language. You might be someone who knows about the HTML and CSS. You know how to make a web page, a plain static web page using HTML and CSS, but you don't know how to make a site that interacts with a server. So there are other languages, like you can use C# or VB script or Virtual Basic Script, and it uses the ASP or Active Server Pages. You can do that. You can even use Python, Django, the Django development environment. You can do that. And you can also use Ruby for your web development. You can learn that. Ruby, one of the major thing about this Ruby language is that I guess GitHub was developed with Ruby, so it's not that bad language actually. Nonetheless, every language they have their own, shortcomings. They have their own advantages, but because PHP, I chose PHP due to reasons because it has an extensive amount of documentation. It's been there for, I guess, over a decade. It's been running there for 12 years, or I guess 10 years. There are tons of developers. You can find people who knows about this language. If you go to Stack Overflow, and if you don't know how to write something, or if you are facing problem with this language, then you can just Google up something and you will go find everything that you need. And if you still don't find anything, just head over to stackoverflow.com. I guess that's the address, and you'll find you can ask questions about your problems, and you'll find people answering them within a few minutes or a few hours. So it's very stable in its releases. There are tons of developers working to make this language very stable. And the other languages, they're not that bad, but there are some stability issues about them. So I would actually prefer you to use PHP. Nonetheless, if you're not really familiar with this language, let me just introduce you to some of its constructs. So some of you might be someone who knows about this language, so you can actually skip this video. So the first thing that you need is, because PHP, there are two forms of programming language when it comes to web development. So the first form is called the client-side programming language, and the second form is known as the server-side programming language. So the client-side programming language can be the JavaScript language. This basically don't need the server to run behind the back of your site. So it actually manipulates your elements, HTML elements. It runs on your Firefox. So definitely you don't need a server to run JavaScript code. But because the name implies with server-side languages, PHP is definitely a language that runs and that needs a server to run. So if you're planning to use a server, and if you're planning to use a server-side language to make your site dynamic, so you need to have a server-side language like PHP, and you'll definitely need a server. I'm actually running a server on this Mac. You can see that when I open up this terminal. On Mac, you can just simply, let me just close this off. Okay, suppose you want to make a site, and I have placed, I guess I've placed this on my desktop. I need to find this. Okay, here is the file. So let's get back to the terminal. Now the advantage of Aptona Studio is that you get a terminal, you get another tab that tells what are the problems you have in your project, what are the warnings, the things that need to change, and a console, although it's not required right now. I'll be showing you how to use this terminal. This terminal is actually the same thing you get on Mac. So you can do everything that you want with this terminal as long as it's, you know, it's safe enough. You don't break codes. It won't allow you to break codes, but you should be careful when you use, or when you use a programming language, because there are sometimes it might occur that you might provide a loop that runs for infinite time. So your Firefox or your web browser might get confused, or it will take longer time to print your page. So yeah, that was all about this thing. And you can use this terminal as if you're using the usual terminal on Mac. So let me get back to desktop. Okay, so I'm here on my desktop. You can see that I have placed this practice, this new web project practice, on my desktop, and I have navigated to this desktop folder. Now I need to see where I have that. So here it is, the practice folder. So let me get inside this practice folder. Initially, because I was running a server on another project, so that's why it was I had a server running on that project. So you might get something like a fresh new terminal with nothing inside it, or no navigated folders inside it. So the thing that you need to do initially is that, let me get back first. Okay, you'll get something like this. Because I'm not inside any folder right now, it's not telling me which folder I am. It's telling me that I am on the root level. This sign tells you that you're on the root level. You'll get something like that. So remember to log inside your computer as the with administrative privileges, because there might be some problems if you don't do that. So the next thing that you need to do is you need to navigate where you have kept your project folder. I've kept my project folder inside the desktop folder. So I go into first I list all the folders that I have right now. So here's the desktop folder. I navigate inside it, and let me clear this screen, and then let me list down all the projects folder, and I find that this practice folder, or this practice project, is on my desktop. So I get inside that practice folder. Now let me list down all the files inside it. So definitely, because it's a new project, I won't have every files or folders that I need. So I only have the home page, or I only have the index.php file. So I'll be running the server, the built-in server that comes with PHP. I'll be running that server inside this folder practice. So this, I only need to pass one parameter or one option for this. So you need to write PHP, then capital S, write localhost, then colon, then you need to provide the port number on which you want to run your server, then hit enter. Then you have your server running. So it will tell you that it's listening on localhost 8080. You need to take this address, copy this, and as long as this is running, it will show you all the output that happens behind the scenes. So let's get back to our web browser. Okay, let's paste and go. So here you have the server running successfully. If it wasn't running, it would tell you something like it's broken. Like let me get back to AppTunnel. So yeah, if you look behind the scenes, it's telling you it has got into the root level of your folder or root level of your project. So that's why it's showing one single /, and it's also telling you that the request was successful, which is a status code of 200. If you cancel, if you want to close this server session, you need to simply Control C. So now it's closed. Then if I get back to my browser and if I hit next, it will tell you that this web page is not available or the server is not running. So we need to keep the server running continuously. Okay, so let's run the server again. Now our server is running and we are ready to go. Now the next thing, if you are on a Windows machine, if you're running Windows 7, Windows 8 or whatever it is, if you're running that, so the best thing you can do is to download this software. It's open source or it's free of charge. You can download this 5.6